Innovations Podcast. Today we are going to be talking about how you can start creating with Google Drawings. We're excited to hear new features, student teacher uses, and some tips for beginning to create with Google Drawings. So I'm Lindy Valachek.
I'm Jimmy Kate. Phil Sheridan.
Pam Peebler.
All right, so Pam, you just finished a session on Google Drawings.
Yes.
So do you have any tips for us? Or let's start with what is Google? What is Google Drawings?
I know a lot of us are familiar with Google Slides. It's very similar to Google Slides as far as the features, but Google Drawings is a single page and it's basically just a blank canvas where you can create just about anything. You can do it just for visuals. You can do it just for where you want. If you want drag and drop type activities, lots of different things you can use. And the session I did, Innovation Summit, is creating with Google Drawings. So there's a video for that too.
Awesome. And we'll share some of those resources in the show notes for anyone that didn't maybe get to attend the session and want some of those tips.
You know that Google Slides has templates. Are there any templates available for Google Drawing, or is it complete canvas?
There aren't
themes or anything.
There's a lot of people that already have them created where you can make a copy just like you can with most Google Docs, but they don't actually have where, like when you go to slides.google.com where they've got the templates, they don't have that in Drawings. I know it's one of those features that people would love to at some point in time, but you can use a lot of the ideas from Slides in Drawing. It's just that single page instead of the slides where it has multiple pages.
Right. Because you were saying when you had templates, you would just use Canva. Like if you have something like where you want to just kind of plug and play, whereas you have this vision. You said Google Drawings is the place to go when you've got a vision.
Yes, and because I know, anyone that hasn't used Canva before, there's a lot of great visuals in there. And this one's one where if you want to start from scratch, you want to create something, even if it's you want to create a document, you can actually change the page setup to be 8.5 by 11, and then you can make it exactly how you want. Because I don't know if anyone's ever used Google Docs and try to add images and things like that. It's getting better, but it is not easy to put things where you want it to be. Where there's no formatting, nothing. You can add whatever you want. Pictures, audio or videos are the only thing that you can't necessarily show, but I can tell you a tip on how to do that in a minute.
Definitely make sure you tell us about that. You told me about that earlier. It's a game changer. It's kind of cool. I do like, you talked about the sizing of the paper and things like that. I like to, I do a lot with helping students and teachers to do maker stuff. And Google Drawings is a great tool for supporting that. A lot of schools have they have laser cutters, and Google Drawings is a great tool where kids can go on and they can create a drawing. Let's say I had a Hanahan Middle School. They had a math unit where they were doing geometric nets, and their challenge was to create a package to contain something. You guys know I like making boxes and stuff, get into that. So the kids, they had a challenge, hey, here's my watch. You need to create a package design for it. And it supported the unit of study because, when you fold it out, it's a net, it's a geometric net. Right. So they designed those nets in Drawings, and then you can file export out of Drawings as a PDF, which is something that can be run on the laser. Can also be used for doing Cricut, vinyl cutter type designs. So a really nice tool that, you can create something on the screen, and then with the right tool, like a laser Cricut, actually make something that you can touch tangibly and use. So I love that tool. It really reinforces measurement too, because your canvas is a specific size, like you mentioned, and you can resize that to really help the students to say, this is an 8.5 by 11. Is this big enough for your project? Well, no. Okay, let's measure and let's resize our canvas so that in the real world it comes out the way we want it to. And then even the shapes when they draw it, draw a rectangle and click on it, and then in the right-hand side you can look at the format options for it and see the actual real-life size. So, and again, making connections between what I see on the screen, the size of it here, what it will be in the real world. Right. So really helps to support those maker.
My students found it way more user-friendly too than trying to use like SketchUp or something like that when we were doing some laser stuff. Now, people that can use that brain do they have to use CAD programs? Sure. It's great, but if they maybe don't think that way, that Google Drawings is that very kind of simple, user-friendly.
It's a great entry level to
absolutely
to design, 3D thinking, and stuff like that. So.
One of my favorite features in Google Drawings is all the insert options, and I'm looking at my screen just so that way I can remember all of them there because there are a lot.
Right.
You can insert the images, and if you already have it, you can upload it from your computer, but you can search the web also. So you can search that way, or if you have them in your drive, there's lots of different ways you can add it. And then the text boxes. I do like text boxes, but I find myself using shapes a lot more because when you use a shape, it is a text box. So I don't know if you've ever wanted to give your students something where they had a place to type and you put a text box in there, but then once you click out of it,
they can't find it.
They can't find it unless they click around.
Right.
Where if it's a shape and it's a rectangle or whatever, they know to click in that and just type. And you can change the format, you can change the font, you can change the size, all that kind of stuff. Arrows, there's call outs, equations, tables. I mean, there's tons of things that you can add into drawing.
And I like using it. I'm going to switch over to Jamboard. I use this to create a background that I can then download and add into Jamboard if I wanted them to, if I wanted something to be set in the back.
Right.
And it's an infinite canvas too. So as students are collaborating on things, like let's say you're trying to mind map or do a project, a timeline or something like that, as you need more room to expand out your thoughts or whatever, you can continue to just expand out that canvas to support the whatever it is that you're doing.
Right.
And so I really like that too.
Yeah. And when you're talking about that canvas, because when you open it, it's like the gray and white checkered background. And you look at it and you're like, okay, now what? What is this? I don't know.
Yeah, I have this transparent background. What am I going to do with it?
What do I do with it? And then there's space off to the side. And so then you can, if you create shapes or visuals, you can actually slide them off to the side. And that's where I learned about Tony Vincent has a great resource where he does a video that he puts off to the side so that way it can be instruction for the kids. And then they create on the canvas. And the cool thing is you can't insert a video, but if you open up a slide, Google Slides, insert your video there because that is an option. You click on it once, so it has the blue box around it, and we'll share this in the show notes, so don't worry about it if you're trying to follow along. But you click on it once and Control-C copy, and then you go over to your drawing and do Control-V paste. It will paste the video. And you can slide it off to the side. They can watch the video and then create whatever it was on the canvas. And if you print it, it will only print what's on the canvas. It won't do anything that's on the outside of it.
Gotcha.
So it's just a neat feature that, without having an inserted video like in slides, they still have room to create. So, and that's kind of the goal.
And this is very just bare basic, but I use it for editing pictures a lot of times, with the shapes. And if I want this picture to be an oval, or, I want to edit out and make it, have a transparent back.
Crop where you can crop normally we crop as a rectangular shape, but
Right.
That's kind of tricky to do. So that's one of those things, the first time I saw that, you have to have the image in there, and how you crop it, that might be something we have to spell out the directions in the show notes.
We'll definitely add a little video to the show notes.
Yeah, because that's, that can be a little tricky. You click on it and you're like, wait, that didn't create the shape I wanted it to. Because there's some specific direction, so we can do that. Yeah,
and I took Tony Vincent's classy graphics class, and so I was just pulling up some of the examples and showing Jimmy over here some of the examples of how they put text box and stuff off to the side. But here's on this one example, there's and I'll share it in the show notes too. This is body systems, and so they have questions off to the side and stuff like that. So it's kind of neat. Some graphic organizers that they use, so that you can really use it for all kinds of things. I think one of my favorite, Matt Miller shared the caption this.
Yes.
So we'll have to make sure we link that. But I had Paige Deegan at Macedonia. She's done it a couple of times with her students, where you just give them a picture and they have to come up with the caption, or maybe maybe the conversation that's happening if there's more than one person in there, or the ideas or the thoughts that these people are having. So you really have to understand what's happening in that picture to be able to come up with those
That's
things.
how I introduce it a lot to kids, especially elementary school, because once you show them how to insert a picture, then when you're talking about text features, that's one of the first things that they do is, the call outs, and you can type right in there. And so it's a really easy intro to Google Drawings.
Yeah. And, drawings is used in docs, if you want to insert, so using that, its integration with the other tools in the Google suite is nice. I definitely like that as well.
Yeah, and we've got some resources down in the show notes also that kind of give you some more ideas, but some of the ones that I like are like the book snaps with the Google Drawings. So you're pulling in your Bitmoji, you've got the students that have kind of maybe snipped a piece or typed out a piece of a book that they've read, and then kind of adding to it. So that's a neat idea as to how to utilize it in a classroom.
That's one of my favorites, especially first of all, you tell some adults, be like, you just use Snapchat. They're like, no, we're not using
What is that?
Snapchat. So Google Drawings is one way you can do that and still add those text features. And maybe even if it's like, if you're reading a book and you take a picture of that book and then off to the side, your notes as far as your thoughts. And then you've got that drawing, you can save it as multiple things. You can save it as a JPEG, you can save it as a PNG, depending on where you want to insert it. And then there's a lot you can do with it from there.
And this is, I don't know that you could use this in the classroom per se, but probably one of my favorite uses of it's Google Slides and Google Drawings is sticky notes, creating your own sticky notes.
For the background?
Yes.
Yeah. You guys might have to reel us in. Lindy and I might talk about this
kind of geek out a little
all
bit.
day.
But creating like sticky notes that you're going to print. And then, I put my Bitmoji on it with like a little speech bubble, and then I can write in whatever I want. If I'm visiting a classroom, leave it on a desk or something like that, or something maybe I want all my students to have. You can,
I'm interested because I've used it. We've done a meme contest in our class. That was pretty at the end of the year. It's like our final thing. Like we do, and then the student that wins gets theirs up on the wall. So we've always done that. And that's really the only way we've used it. We used it with laser cuzzing. What other ways are you seeing students using and creating with Google Drawings that you can share with us, then share with me, and I could maybe take to my kids when I get back to my school? So.
I know, just having those conversations about like when you talk about the Shark Tank type things where they're creating a business or whatever, creating those logos or creating anything that has to do with like publishing what they would publish.
Right.
Drawings is a great one to do that with as far as all the different features. I've had conversations in, I think it was an 8th grade class where we looked at different advertisements and what we liked about them and what we didn't like about them and how we can kind of recreate that for their own PSA assignments and things like that they were working on. So there's tons of things, and like I would do the potty PD where I would create
you
kind of like a
used
newsletter.
it for a newsletter.
Yeah, I would do a newsletter, but I would put it in the restroom so that way teachers could kind of have a little bit something to read, But then we had talked about
so
the
students create that.
That's the part that we were talking about, transferring that over to, well, the kids can create this. Yes. What did you learn, or what is something that you're passionate about that you want other people to know how to do? Create it, stick it. It doesn't have to be in the bathrooms. You can, put it wherever. Just like when you go to a restaurant, they have those things, right. And that catches your attention. And whether it's for advertising or, there's tons you can do with it. It just gives you another platform to create content and visuals.
Can you insert QR codes into Google Drawings?
Yes.
Because I was thinking I'm thinking about doing like a gallery walk with Flipgrid. Because Flipgrid, you can create the QR codes, and they could create like a Google Drawing poster with their QR code, and that could be where the gallery walk takes place.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I guess you could even, since Chrome has the QR creator right in it, it has a little dinosaur in the middle. If that bugs you, you might have to find another one. But so even when you have that drawing created, you can make sure it's shared where anyone can view, add that QR to it, and it would go right to that. So yeah, you can definitely do that.
Drawings is definitely like an underutilized.
It is.
And I think it's because, when you go into file, when you go to new, what drops in, it's the 3 most popular ones, the docs, sheets, and slides. So, and then you got to go more.
I don't think drawing is in my waffle. I think
you have to go into Drive.
Yeah. It's kind of hidden. So I feel like it's.
Why is it not in the waffle?
It's just I don't know. It's underutilized.
Exactly.
It's underutilized because it's under advertised.
All right, you got to add that to feedback.
So, feedback Google. Hey, bump your product
Yeah,
up a little
it's
bit,
awful.
But I think
promote
it's
it more.
also because it's a blank canvas and you're like, what do I do with this? But creating templates, like we've talked about all these
Yeah.
different templates, if you're just trying to create something where you're giving your students the autonomy to.
I think what's important though too,
Yeah.
that as we work with our students and build them up as, being tech literate over time, part of that tech literacy is that they understand the different uses for the different tools, like this is a good creativity tool. This is a great communication tool. This is a great collaboration tool. This is a tool I'll use to produce, product X, Y, or Z.
Right.
So, so giving them that opportunity to use those tools, kind of equally is important so they can start to think creatively about how to use them.
Yeah.
You could keep on going, but
Yeah. So I guess our mail room question of the day is, how are you utilizing Google Drawings in your classroom? We'd love to see some examples. I think
Absolutely.
I'm a person like, I want to see it,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, ooh, then I can kind of jump off of that idea
right.
Absolutely.
to come up with an idea for myself. So
Yeah.
if you have any examples of Google Drawings or maybe a tip that you use that we didn't mention, we'd love to share that on our next episode. So
Absolutely.
thank you for joining the Innovation Squadcast. I'm Lindy Valatek.
Pam Hebler.
Phil Sure.
Jimmy Kate.
Have a great day.
Bye.